Progression 1, Pyotr. Pyotr turned the door handle to the library, shutting the wooden door behind him. In the amber glow of the lamplight, still turned low, Pyotr studied the woman lying on the chaise, a heavy blanket covering her wan, naked form. He walked to the single lamp and turned the light up, causing the woman to stir. He marked the moment of her slow return to consciousness. With a will, he stood by the door, hands at his sides, the lamp once more turned to its softest light. The woman slumbering in peace slowly roused as the lamp grew brighter of its own accord. Pyotr approached the plump woman as she pushed herself into a sitting position, the confusion of sleep quickly replaced by the frightened features of an animal out of its environment. Instinctively, she pulled the blanket up over her ample curves to cover herself in the presence of a stranger. "Hola," Pyotr said, but she blinked at him. "Zdravstvutia," he tried again. Still nothing. She tried to speak, but he overran her attempts. "Bonjour, salut, hello, terra, hola, kosh." She yelled, "Stop!" The whites of her eyes showed as she took in the room. "Who are you? Where am I?" Pyotr returned to his last mark. In a trice, he again stood at the door of the library. The light brightened the room. The woman stirred and pulled up the blanket in fear and concern. He approached her slowly again and asked, "What is your name?" The woman looked around, her chest rising and falling too rapidly. "What the hell?" Instead of covering herself, she pulled herself free of the blanket and leapt from the couch, screaming obscenities and threats in a panic. Pyotr sighed and returned once more to the previous mark. This was proving wasteful. He would need to be more prudent. She slumbered. The room brightened. She awoke, and he approached her. He said with quiet urgency, "Your life is in danger. Cooperate, and I will make certain you are safe." Her eyes widened, and she screamed, loudly. Pyotr winced and returned to the mark. He considered a different approach, to ask for help, but his inspiration died there. He could never feign helplessness. One more time. Pyotr counted the cost these small returns would have. Their conclave had lost 2 members already, one too weak to handle this girl's intrusion in their proceedings, the other, Johann, left to bear the blame and erased from history. Only the master and Pyotr recalled the lines in his face. The mark would not need to count, as he spread the cost across the remaining acolytes. It would give Mash crow's feet and Leon gout. So long as Pyotr did not show these marks, he could bear it. But new acolytes would need to be gathered. New souls to pay the toll across time, and risking the master's anger once more. His mind turned, as it often did when thinking of the master, to the unicorn tapestry he used as a focus when in his presence. If he looked at it the right way, the weave of the tapestry could be seen in every moment of his existence, from woolen growth on a sheep's back to woven thread, to the work on a loom, to the assembled puzzle of threads hanging before him. In any other house it might gather dust. This thought inspired him to be courageous. One more time. Pyotr approached her as she pushed herself into a sitting position, pulling up the blanket. He said, "Please do not be alarmed. My name is Pyotr." She studied the room and his face. "Where?" "The House of Forgotten Shadows," he answered. Pyotr sat at the foot of the chaise, but made no attempt to touch her. Instead, he held up his hands in his lap, his back straight. He kept his voice soothing, his features unassuming, apologetic. "It will be all right. I mean you no harm. Please, let me finish. I will then answer your questions. Agreed?" He allowed his practice with marking her possible futures to create the best possible outcome for him. And her, he supposed. Though still visibly shaken and unsteady, she remained relatively calm. At least she wasn't screaming this time. Pyotr noted her physical form. Its soft flesh might inspire a lesser man, but I am above such things, he reminded himself. He continued, "Thank you. I am a mage. This world is different from the one you know. We mean you no harm." "We? There are more?" "We were seeking a book, and you were summoned by mistake. None of us will attempt to do you harm while we assess the damage we have done, or what to do with you. Do you understand so far?" Her mouth went a little slack, but she closed it quickly and appeared to consider his words. Her lower lip trembled. "Yes." She brushed a stray lock of hair behind her ear. "I understand you have kidnapped me, stripped me of my clothes, and expect me to trust you." "Oh, you're insane." "That about it?" Knuckles wide on the blanket she held, she stared at him, fierce and accusing. Pyotr held back a flash of cold anger. Instead, he offered her a smile, wicked and false. "See the situation as you will. Time reveals truth. We must speak with my mentor. He will ask you to make a choice. He produced a robe he had not had in his hand a moment before, and she took note of it. I don't want to see your mentor. I want to go home. Let me go! He ignored her protest and placed the robe across her lap. Dress, and consider how you will conduct yourself. He stood, all traces of his consoling demeanor gone. I will return in 5 minutes. Pyotr left without waiting for the woman to agree or confirm. The lock clicked after the door shut behind him.